Good morning and welcome to Madeira. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Caroline and I'm travelling around this gorgeous island for 2 weeks with my other half Andy. This morning we've come along to hike the Levada called Levada Faja do Rodrigues, and I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that one correctly. It's not too long of a hike, it's 4 kilometres out, but because it is there and back, it will be 4 kilometres back along this way. We've been warned that the weather can really take a turn quite quickly, so as well as having the t-shirt and shorts, I've also got plenty of layers in my backpack, just in case it does take a turn for the worse. It's got a very tropical feel to it, and we've been told that you should get some amazing views out over the valley. There are going to be a total of 3 tunnels. We will have a look at just what there is along this pathway. One thing to note about this Levada is that despite it being incredibly flat and therefore relatively easy going, if you've rented a car whereby you're not allowed to drive it on non-tarmac roads, it is a 200-metre elevation gain up a dirt track in order to get to the starting point. Obviously, if you're renting something like a 4x4 whereby you're allowed to take it on those dirt tracks, or you've got your own car and you're happy taking it on the dirt tracks, you don't need to worry about that. It's an incredibly easy hike without that elevation gain. I can see a tiddler just a little bit further up, but these Levadas, not all of them, but this one's got loads of fish in it, and we just assume that they're probably trout. They can get quite easily spooked once they realise that we're around. They'll sit there just like waggling their tails. It's quite mesmerising just watching them moving like that, and it's just so that they stay put against the flow of the Levada. But then if they do spot that we're around, or maybe they just want to move off, I don't know, they are so zippy in the water and they go flying both up and down. I never expected to see fish in the Levadas. I love the little quirks that these Levadas just throw out at you. The idea of having to walk behind a waterfall and ducking underneath the hanging gardens that are just growing out of the rock is awesome. But I think if we're talking about having to walk behind waterfalls, I'm still yet to find one that tops the first one that we did, which was the Levada Nova. Even though it linked up with the Moinho one, it was technically speaking up on the Levada Nova where you had to walk behind that epic waterfall. This walk has got so many different coloured flowers. I definitely recognise the blue hydrangeas and the wild daisies, but then you've also got these fiery red and orange flowers. You've got purple ones, and I don't know if it's just that on the northern side of the island and the hikes that we're going to be doing on this side will be a little bit like this, but if we compare it to any of the hikes that we've done on the southern side of the island, there just hasn't been this number of different coloured flowers. It might be something special to this hike, it might just be something special to the northern side, but whichever way it is, I am loving the explosion of colour. If you're watching this video because you're planning on coming and doing this hike, definitely don't wear open-toed shoes because it gets super muddy in parts. I feel like you should be able to see our campsite. The first part of the hike was so enclosed by lots of trees, and it had a real variety that I've not seen necessarily in other parts of the island. So we had gorgeous pine trees, there were eucalyptus trees, but we've just come out to this amazing point with stunning views over the valley. I mean, the research that I'd done online had said that we would have stunning views over the valley, but I just don't think I quite understood how stunning these are. It's gorgeous. All of the Levadas that we've walked along so far have got these, which I guess are kind of like gates, and this one seems pretty watertight, nothing's coming through, but we've seen quite a few where like little trickles of water go through. And what we noticed is that the last place that we were staying at, the Levada on the first day, and I think the first couple of days, was completely dry running down the streets. But on our last couple of days, there was free-flowing water down the Levadas. And so we were wondering, how does it work? Does someone have to come along and like pull up these gates to allow for water to be able to flow to one village or one area? And how does that work as well? Like, is it a bit like in the UK where we have bin collection days? So you know on that day, that's the day that you need to take out your rubbish for the bin collection people to take it away. And is it similar with the Levadas in that on a particular day of the week or days of the week, you know that you're going to have water channeled to your area? I have no idea. If you do, if you understand how these Levadas work a little bit better than me, I would really, really appreciate it if you could let me know in those comments below. Did you bring your flashlight? Yeah. We've arrived at our first tunnel, and these tend to be quite long. And one of the things that I knew we definitely needed to bring as part of our packing list for this trip were headlights, flashlights to put on our heads to hike with. Surprisingly, out of all of the Levadas that we've done, we've only done one so far that has actually had a tunnel as part of it. I think it's just been, I don't know, luck of the draw that a lot of the ones that we've done recently haven't had them. But as I said, this should have 2 tunnels that we are going to attack. So, headlights at the ready, even though I look like an absolute geek wearing it. So whilst the first tunnel might not have been particularly long, the second one is much longer. Whilst we started going on a really narrow pathway to the side of the water source, what's really helpful is that in parts of these Levadas, they've got these big concrete slabs that go over the top of the waterways, which is making it really easy to now just walk through it. And I don't need to worry about bashing my head because this one's quite nice and tall, she says. Oh, it just got really low there. And back there, I didn't have to worry about bashing my head, and I also don't need to worry about stepping into the water. Turns out that fleece and rain mat weren't really needed, and if anything, the sunglasses and the sunscreen that I have packed is probably more likely needed. It was a very, very cloudy and chilly start to today's hike, but the sun has come out and it's completely heated up, and just the dappled sunlight that's coming through the leaves on the trees is lovely, and it is most definitely giving it that tropical feel with the gushing water, the huge ferns, and it's just turning into a walk that feels so different to the start. We decided to only go as far as the entrance to that final tunnel. At the trailhead, we'd started chatting to a couple who went on ahead of us, and a little while ago we bumped into the girl who'd explained that her boyfriend had decided to go through the entirety of the tunnel. We just bumped into him a couple of minutes ago, asked him was it worth it, and he took out his phone, started showing us some photographs that he'd taken on the other side of it. And to be honest, the whole of the trail just looked very much like this, with a lot of gigantic ferns. So because it's not going to show us anything that is different, and it will mean that we would have to endure walking through a tunnel where we're having to like crouch down, we just don't think it's worth it. We don't want to put any unnecessary strain on our bodies when we've still got another week of travel here in Madeira, where there's some epic hikes that we're wanting to do, and we just don't want a tunnel with some ferns on the other side to be what perhaps puts us in a position where we can't do some of those more epic hikes. Where the entrance to that tunnel is, there's a whole load of waterfalls that all converge, and I guess it's what's helping to feed the Levada, and it was really a sight to behold. But the other really nice thing is that there's actually a worker out on this trail. There's been a little bit of a landslide, and he's there with a shovel, shoveling away the earth, just I suppose that the water isn't getting blocked, and he's got his dog sat loyally by his side too. At this point, we're just going to be turning back and walking exactly the same trail as what we took to come out, so I won't bother filming that because it will be a little bit boring for you guys. So I'm hoping that you've enjoyed seeing this Levada. Maybe it's inspired you to be able to come along and enjoy it yourselves, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.